Well, I think as everyone knows, Slovakia today is considered to be one of the most successful economies and countries in Central Europe and probably in all of Europe. It has the highest growth rate in terms of gross domestic product, and I think that's a result of the excellent macroeconomic policies that are here in terms of taxation, in terms of labor policy, and which has contributed to a significant investment into Slovakia, and which has then resulted in significant employment opportunities. Unemployment is very low. Inflation is very low. Although the unemployment may be low, it still sits at around 7.7%, and there is still available labor force within the country for businesses to consider. So I think that it's still a great opportunity for the future. Underlying all that, we have to keep in mind that Slovakia is a member of the EU and follows all of the patent protection policies of the EU, which is very important from a business standpoint, as well as signing on to various international intellectual property agreements. Well, for sure, initially I think the low labor costs were a significant attraction. It's still one of the lowest labor cost countries in Europe today. And then balancing that, however, is a very highly educated workforce. So we have low labor costs, we have a highly educated workforce, both not only at the university level, but also at the secondary school level, at the trade level. And I think that's important for companies to consider as well. Many companies have come here because of the language capabilities of many of the younger people. And we have, for example, many high-tech companies here today, HP, IBM, and Dell, who are taking advantage of that because they have consolidated many worldwide applications here in Bratislava and are employing up to 1,000 or 2,000 Slovak citizens to do that workload. So I think the language capability, the education, and then on top of all that, businesses need to consider the fact that Slovakia is in the heart of Europe and very close to major markets such as certainly Western Europe, but also developing markets like Poland, Ukraine, Hungary, and of course the Balkans. You know, now that the Balkans are somewhat more stabilized, that market is going to grow in the future as well. I think the business opportunities comes in two flavors. One is geographic and one is sectoral. The geographic side, companies today, I think, when they come to Slovakia, will see that Western Slovakia is very, very much developed. The unemployment rate is very low, it's like 4%, and much of the automobile industry as well as the TV industry, TV technology industry has been centered in Western Slovakia. The government today is putting all its emphasis in generating investment opportunities in Eastern Slovakia. So companies that come to Slovakia should look at the East first in order to get greater investment incentives, but secondly, there's a greater workforce pool of available workforce out in Eastern Slovakia, as well as an excellent university system that supports all that. So that's the geographic side, I would say. On the sectoral side, I've talked about the fact that Slovakia has in the past developed the automotive industry here and also the TV industry, and probably that's accounting for like 30% of gross domestic product, and certainly is important and will be and should be continued. However, for the future, I think R&D is an area that Slovakia will develop in. They have the capabilities to do that, and I think there's emphasis being put on that. Matter of fact, before you got here, I was looking at some material that was given by Sario, who's a Slovak investment and trade development agency, and it says R&D in Slovakia. So they are focusing on R&D for the future in terms of what might be possible given the training, the education, and the availability of high technology talent. And so they're doing an excellent job in trying to carry that message outward. I might make the point that we already have emphasis in that area. In Košice, in Eastern Slovakia, there's a program called IT Valley, where companies have gotten together in the IT area. They've tried to learn from each other. They're communicating with universities in terms of ensuring that graduates are better trained for that industry. And it's working. It's starting to work. I'd like to point out, too, that we're not just beginning, because a company like Siemens, for example, not an American company, but certainly a well-respected international German company, is developing a great part of its software for medical imaging technology in Košice, in eastern Slovakia. So there is a real software talent there, and I think that's something that companies should look at in the future, is how to tap into the R&D capability that's here today. It's all the things we've talked about in terms of labor, in terms of good economics, in terms of one thing I didn't mention is the tax law, which is a 19% flat rate, which companies find very attractive. I should also mention the fact that Slovakia is going to convert to the euro as of January 1st of next year, which will bring great stability in terms of currency, in terms of pricing. And I think those are all advantages for businesses. The biggest thing I think to point out to companies that are interested in coming here is, what have other companies done? Have they considered this to be a good country to come to for investment or for location? We've just recently done a survey of all the American companies in Slovakia, and the total investment, American investment to date in Slovakia is $4 billion, and U.S. companies today are employing about 50,000 Slovak citizens. So I think that tells the story, that American companies have found this a great place to be and are staying. I think today, being in the Eurozone, Slovakia will be considered a major Western country, just like every other country in Western Europe that's currently using the euro. With that comes currency stability. It makes business a lot simpler for companies, because they don't have to worry about translating currencies between Slovakia and other countries. So I think it's all positive. I think it just simplifies business, and I think it's also a great endorsement for Slovakia and for the economic, financial reforms that have gone on in Slovakia. A great endorsement by the European community that says Slovakia has graduated and is ready to be a member of that major club.